her
Oh, so then
sister.
she was here with us. Yes, yes, yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. So this
Hi
is
guys.
one.
Hi guys. I'm here with Pam, and we're back here, and we're with
We
the Cat Club on
are.
Tuesday night, and tonight we're going to be talking about my cat can't poop. What is going on with my cat? And so I have Pam here with me. I always like her to introduce herself and her a little bit about her background, so you guys know who she is.
Yep.
So let's kick it off. Pam, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. It's so good to be back. And I have, one of our honorary felines for the show, of course. I have three others sitting over here by the space heater. Um, Now I am a board certified holistic health practitioner with Mind Body Spirit Release. And I love incorporating energy healing work and muscle testing to help pets rebalance and heal energetically, physically, emotionally, spiritually. I run my own online shop for cats, and we do consultations and we do shows on our channels, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. So yeah, I wear a lot of hats, but it's fun.
Well, I think it's so important that you have all those channels that we reach out to everybody wherever we can, because
Yeah.
it's interesting. The last couple of days, I've had a couple of people actually reach out to me, and this one lady, her name is Jamie, and she has a cat that's 15 and a half years old and has this chronic condition of constipation.
Mm.
And he's 15 and a half years old, and
Mhm.
she sat there, and I want to see if I could share this here, this picture here real quick. Oh, I, so this is
Oh,
Simon.
it's
So this is Simon,
beautiful.
and you see what she writes to me, and she called me, and she's like, Michael, I had to
Oh.
call you and tell you you saved Simon's life.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, oh my God, how did we do that? And so she said that the mic was a little funky. Sir just came in to test the mic out here to see what's going on here.
Perfect.
Okay, guys, we're just doing a little sound check right now. They're just feeling like the mic volume. Yeah, that's what she was saying too. And I just built with these guys the other day. Do we just jump off? Should we just jump off and do this?
How does that sound now?
Oh, that sounds great.
Oh, that sounds great. Okay, we're losing the mic.
Ooh.
I mean, I'm telling you.
But now it's all crackly.
Oh, now it's all crackly, Serge. Yeah, see, I'm telling you.
Don't you hate technology?
Well, it's like you get all these special equipments like the mic and all this, and then all of a sudden it's not working. So then I go back to the computer, and then we have this issue.
Yeah.
So
it's frustrating.
Why don't you go ahead and if you just talk a little bit,
okay,
Pam, and just share the one of the top 10 common reasons why cats have diarrhea. Why we work on this real quick.
Oh, you mean constipation? We'll start.
Constipation. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, no problem. And you guys, as you're watching, drop a comment if your cat struggles with this condition, because we're going to be talking about all the potential reasons why this could be happening. And then maybe something will you'll trigger an awareness of something that we're saying, and you'll have one of those light bulb moments, and you'll go, oh, that's what I need to look at. So really and truly, some of the most common reasons why cats become constipated is, number one, is dehydration. They're just not taking in enough water. Another reason is lack of fiber. This is really common for cats who eat highly processed food, but also it can be for cats who are eating a prey model diet, raw diet. if those recipes do not contain any fiber. Hairballs is actually another common reason for constipation in some cats. And, fur can just build up along the GI tract. And there's just not enough lubrication in the GI tract that's pushing through. Oh, now I'm getting a echo.
Are you getting feedback?
I'm getting an echo.
Oh.
That's weird.
And now, are you still getting echo?
Test, 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 test.
Test, test, test.
Yep.
Okay, I'm gonna mute myself for right now. So,
Okay. Oh, you want me to keep going? Okay, I'm going to keep going on the reasons why cats get constipation. One of these I see quite often in my work is stress and anxiety. Emotional health imbalances can trigger root chakra blocks, which constrict the flow of energy into the colon, and then they can get constipation. So we'll talk more about that later. Some medical conditions like kidney disease, arthritis, megacolon, and even lack of nerve innervation in the colon can contribute to this kind of issue. And then in some cats, they just aren't moving enough. They need more exercise, and that stimulates motility. Now it's echoing again.
Is it echoing again?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I
Okay,
know.
sorry guys, but hang in there. We have a great show. I'm just, technology, it just kicks my butt every single time. I always
Same.
try something. I try to enhance that we can do this. I'm going to go back to the Rodecaster Pro. And now this is. How's that? Is that better for you?
Okay, let me test. Yes. Yeah, I don't hear it anymore. Yay.
And how do I sound? Do you hear me now?
Yeah, you sound good.
Okay, so I switched this. Okay, I think we got it. Okay. So pick it up where you were. Sorry.
Oh, no, I was just finishing up like the most common reasons why cats can get constipated. And I actually had a cat several years ago. Her name was Lily. And as she got older, she had trouble going to the bathroom, and she was eating a wet food diet. But we ended up having just like adding some pumpkin to her food to help that motility a little bit. And as I think back, I mean, she would just strain in the litter box. Poor thing. It was just so hard, and she would cry. And so, getting older, sometimes they just need a little help, So adding that fiber source was awesome for her, and that really helped. But now looking back, knowing what I know today, I really feel like some of her issue was probably also emotional, because she was under a lot of stress and got, well, let's see, how can I put it nicely? She wasn't attacked, but she was stalked by a younger cat, Aylin, that I have here, because Aylin just wanted to play. And Aylin was, she was young and she had all this energy, and Lily was small and she was an easy target. So she would literally stalk her around the house.
Poor
And
kid. Oh my God.
and she would just try to jump and do the boop and run, and she just wanted to play, but Lily was having nothing of it. And so that was probably contributing to some of her issues too.
Well, you said something, and I wanted to go back to our little friend Simon here. Everybody, this is Simon, and I had this most incredible conversation yesterday with Jamie, his mother, and she said to me, she's like, Michael, I wanted just to share with you that you saved his life. And I was like, well, what do you mean you saved his life? And it was because he's in his golden years, she explained, that he had such a hard time he was constipated, and every time he'd even go, like he said, go near the cat box, he would have that trauma almost of knowing the pain that he was going to do, and it would even scare him away from the box. And so she actually was able to find, our constipation one online, and she said that it has made the biggest difference. And the reason why I said, well, how did we save his life? And she goes, well, my vet was leaning towards,
what was the right thing to do for him in his condition, and if he was suffering so much, maybe it was time to
Mm.
do the thing that
Oh,
we don't like to do. And she didn't want that, so she went back online and she was searching, and she came across us, and she goes, and that's where she said, you saved his life, because he wouldn't be here today if we didn't find your product. And it was just like, and so I just like, it was just interesting that I had this conversation yesterday with somebody, and I knew we had this show coming up, and I
yeah.
hope she joins us. I invited her to come join us today, to talk about this, because this seems like what you were saying. It seems like, with older cats, it seems, do you think it's a lot about being dehydrated in their golden years too?
It really depends on what they're eating, but I think a lot of the older cats don't get as much exercise either, right? They sleep more, they don't move around a whole lot. They're they're just not as active. And so, just like with us, if we're active and we're exercising, things tend to move along a little bit better than if we are just very lethargic and sit around all the time. And, things can get stagnant that way. So I suspect that's probably part of the reason in older cats. But a lot of older cats probably don't. It depends on what they're eating, if that makes sense. You know.
Yeah, we were talking. She actually used to feed him dry food, and he
Hmm.
loved dry food. And
Mm,
when visiting with the vet, the vet says, we want to introduce maybe wet food to his diet so it has moisture to the food,
moisture.
and that helped with
Yeah.
it. And she says he looks at her sometimes, because she has another cat that eats still dry food, and he looks at her and
Oh,
he's like, well, where's my treats? And he actually gives her attitude for not having the dry food, but she said the wet
no.
food actually made it a little, made a big difference as well.
Oh, it really does. And one of the things I wanted to just say, and we don't have to stay on it very long, but I feel like it's very sad that Simon's vet, all they had in their toolbox was maybe it's time.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Oh, it's,
what?
yeah.
What? There's just, I don't know. I just feel like that's an excuse for not caring because there's so many things you can do to address constipation. And hello, all these cat parents who are here today, they know how to do a Google search and look
Yeah.
up reasons for something. A vet has no excuse. They can look up if they're not familiar, like what are the common reasons? Ask your client some questions, like let's try fiber. Let's try some of these things. Like, don't just quit. My gosh, I'm sorry. Okay, rant over.
No, I totally agree. When I heard that, I cringed, because and it's not the first time I've heard that story, where the vet just,
No,
said, "Oh, this is the time." And I'm
right.
like, "Wait a second." And even like with our Forever Young formula, it boosts our pet's immune system so much that it gives them a better quality of life in their golden years. And some of them have been at that point where the vet's like, well, we think it's maybe getting near that time. And we're like, no, 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 no. And what was really beautiful, what she said to me, I'm like, well, how did you find us? Because I always like
Mhm.
to see how people find us. She's in Kentucky. And she goes, well, being in Kentucky, I'm around horses all the time, and I'm in the
Mm.
horse industry. And she has a horse, and she goes, I was at at the feed store for the horse, and even in there they had these Chinese herbs for the
Oh,
horses,
wow.
and she was surprised to see it there. And she's
Mhm.
like, and she thought to herself, she goes, God, if they have it for horses, they've got to have it for pets somewhere. And so she
Mhm.
went online and did a Google search, and that's how she came across us. And I was like, thank God,
Wow. Yeah, that wasn't by
yeah,
accident. That was called divine intervention.
yeah. We had a really lovely conversation yesterday,
That's
and
awesome.
and we got her on a few more formulas for pain, and for anxiety and all that, just so,
Mhm.
because it's so important. I always say it's important that we build our toolbox.
Yeah.
You know, you're you know you're one of the team players. We want you in our toolbox. We're one of the team players. We need to be in the toolbox. There's so
Mhm.
many different choices we have today than we did 15 years ago, that we now can take advantage of for our own pets, that we do for ourselves, and it's really building that perfect toolbox for your pet. So
Mm-hmm.
um, I was really thankful to have met Pam. You know, I actually met you through, um,
A
what was
client,
her cat's name?
Charlie.
Charlie,
Mhm.
yes.
Me and Charlie. Mm-hmm.
Was it? Yeah.
Jenny.
And
Yeah.
yep. And so it's like, and that's, and it's cute because like when Pam and I first started talking, you guys, we started realizing like, I'm like, oh, I know Katie. And she's like, oh, I know Katie. And we started, we started talking about, there is a level of people out there that really, really care about pets, and they are
Mm-hmm.
making such a big difference. And that's why we have this show. And Pam and I are doing this every week now, and we're going to be bringing up different topics so we can actually address them with you. And if you guys have questions, and I'll go back up in the chat. I just needed to get my sound, evened out and all
Yeah.
that. And we'll go back up in the chat. And if you guys have really, questions around what we're talking about, constipation, put it in the chat and we'll pull it up one by one, because
Mm-hmm.
these are issues. There's simple solutions sometimes to what we think is sometimes the most difficult situation that our pet's going in, and it's just because we just don't know that it's available.
Right. Right. It's really a lack of awareness. That's all.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So let me just check here. Yeah. So, I always do this before I go on. I always like get a list of like what are the top 10 things. So I have a top 10, things that they say, who are they
Yeah.
really, right? Constipation. Let's see. Does anybody here? I'm just going through the chat. Hello, everybody. It's good to see everybody. Hi, Serge. Hi, Amanda. Thank you guys for being here. I see Audit there, Scientology Audit. Shelly, hello. Let's see.
She has a
She
good
has a
question.
question. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
this is a good one. What do you think about this?
Well, it's possible. I don't rule anything out, but when you mess with physical body parts and the nerves that innervate those areas, and I guess in some cases cats could probably have phantom pain like humans do when they lose a limb or whatever. So the body thinks maybe energetically that tail is still there. It's possible. I mean, you could always you could do an animal communication session and ask the cat, if you think this is contributing to that condition. But from a physiological perspective, it's possible just because of nerve innervation, and it does affect that colon and that root chakra area. So there might be some energy constriction there. But then again, that may go back to emotional stress around the trauma of having to have the tail amputated for, that would be kind of scary, you know?
That's a tough one. Yeah, because I could see where like if they get it amputated, like you said, the ghost, feeling that it could probably just cause a lot of stress back there.
Hmm. And stress is constricted energy. It's not flowing. And if
Right,
there's constricted
right.
energy, then the body holds on to that matter longer than it should, and it dries out. The moisture is reabsorbed into the body, and that's gross because you think about all the toxins that need to be eliminated that are being reabsorbed, just like us. Um, that's what happens. It gets dry, it doesn't move. So yeah.
I see this question here. My cats are Big Belly and Sugar Ray. How is Big Belly and Sugar Ray? Maybe she's introducing us to her cats. I thought for a second that maybe she was asking a question that her cats have big bellies. Maybe he does have a big belly, right?
Maybe
Um,
so. I think she's just introducing her names.
yeah, I think so. Let's see.
Yeah.
Issues with everything. I'm going to click messages. So here's one. Thanks for the link, Amanda. I'm going to check out messages. Okay. So my dog has been having issues, and I've tried everything. Yeah, if you haven't tried herbal, the natural side of, if you've done the Western medicine and things haven't worked for you, just,
Mhm.
we have Chinese medicine. It's all organic, it's all holistic, and it works. It's just amazing how it works. it's just one thing that I know is it has a tendency just to get to the root of the cause of things and work from that level out to the issue instead of just masking the issue.
Yeah.
I'm sure with the modalities that you have in your toolbox that it does the exact same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there can be
Yeah.
more than one root cause. So you just have to keep peeling back the layers and figure out what all the potential reasons could be and address each one of those.
Yeah, exactly, because it could be diet, it could be
Mm-hmm.
stress, it
Mm-hmm.
could, I know a lot of times even with dogs, and I don't know about this with cats. What do you think about this? Anal glands. Do they have issues with anal glands as much as dogs do?
I don't think they do. And I have never had a cat with an anal gland issue. And honestly, I don't even know where to find them on my cats. It's
Nor
not
do you
really,
want to?
no. According to what I've heard, no, I don't, no, thank you. Um, but from what I have heard about the condition, a lot of times it can be traced back to gut health issues and diet. So those are always like some of the key things to think about and really look at what you're feeding and what their gut health issues may be and how to reverse that, how to support it so we can bring it back into balance. That's what Katie is so good at.
Yeah, Katie's really good at balancing out the whole system again and getting it back to where, I mean, it's like I always used to tell Katie, it's like I want to come up and spend a month with you so you can balance me back out, because she has that insight and she's just like so powerful with what she does.
Hmm.
Um, so when somebody comes to you, do you get a lot of people coming to you with these kind of issues? My cat's got constipation. I don't know what to do. How can we unblock it? What do you
It's
come across?
it's usually not the primary reason. There's usually other at least one other major issue, and that's kind of like what else is going on. Oh, from time, he gets constipated too, or he has a hard time pooping, and so it's not like the major thing, but it can definitely be one of a list of issues. You know what I mean? So it's probably more common than people realize because it's just like if you see something all the time, we think it's normal. And it's not normal, it's common. There's a difference between normal and common. So I think like just like with cats who vomit all the time, even vets think that's normal and it's not normal, it's common. So if people experience their cat vomiting all the time or they experience their cat having, hard poops and they just think it's a normal thing or some of them may not even realize it's a problem until there's a problem, and they can't go and they're impacted and they have to go get enemas and all these, horrific things at the vet clinic. Then they realize that, oh, there was a problem. It's like, I don't know.
They're not getting enough fiber or well, you said that, fiber is like pumpkin is like one of the great fibers to be able to give to your pets.
Yep.
Um, what if someone comes across, what do you think, like if someone has the cat and all of a sudden they see their cat struggling, they see that they have constipation, is there anything inside their house that they may have that would be a quick remedy if they don't have something that you may carry or we carry and they're like, what do I do? Is there anything that they could do with anything at home?
Yeah. I mean, just even if you had a can of cooked pumpkin, that would be great. If you had some freeze dried coconut chips, that's another source of pumpkin. If you have mushrooms in your refrigerator that you're going to fix for yourself, cook some. And there's a specific way to cook mushrooms so that you get the maximum benefits from them. You dice them really small and you cook them in maybe some butter or something like that for about at least 15 minutes on a medium to low, like simmer. You simmer them so that they have time to break down a lot of the water and the moisture and release all of the beneficial components of the mushrooms. But you can do that and take like a quarter to a half a teaspoon and mix that into your cat's food. And you might have to puree it a little bit depending on how sensitive they are to textures. But food sources, I mean, look in your fridge, start in your fridge. If you have dandelion greens, if you have kale, if you have Brussels sprouts, and remember, we're not talking about a large portion. We're talking about a quarter teaspoon to a half a teaspoon max. That's just minced. Broccoli, like the green part, the florets. You can chop that up and steam that a little bit if you wanted to. The food is actually the easiest way to start. And adding more moisture to their food.
Yeah, that seems like, that's one thing I keep hearing is like moisture, moisture. But sometimes she
Yeah.
even like when I was talking to this owner, she was saying that she even has to from time to time even use a syringe and put 5 milliliters of water into her cat because they just don't drink that often.
Right. If cat parents could shift their thinking from processed food to raw diets and get their cats on raw food has intracellular moisture, which is how they're designed to get their water and their moisture. It's from their food, from their fresh food. So it's more bioavailable for them in the raw form than it is adding water to their wet food. But if you haven't, but you do what you got to do. If their cat's eating, canned food or something like that, add some bone broth, add some extra water to it. I was listening to a talk today, somebody who's very knowledgeable about pet nutrition, and she was saying don't add water to dry food because the processed foods that cats often eat are made with grains like corn and soy and wheat and things like that. And if there are mycotoxins on those grains when they're harvested, you're rehydrating those mycotoxins, and now it's even more detrimental for them to be eating that food. And I was like, wow, I had not ever thought about that. Because we know that there are mycotoxins in things like corn. I mean, that's a given, and they're highly, highly toxic. And guess what? Pet food manufacturers are not required to test for those, by the way. That's how they end up in processed foods because it's a cheap filler food. So yeah, don't add water to dry food if that's what you're feeding your cats. So tempt them with other things.
I had this idea just in conversation. You know how when you're talking with someone, you're thinking, and she was saying that he has a hard time drinking water sometimes, and so I was like, I'm wondering like, what could you do? What could you do? What do you think about this idea? My mind was just whizzing away here. Would you freeze maybe like tuna water from a tuna fish can? Would you take
Mhm.
that water and freeze it into like little pieces and maybe use that as a treat, but kind of like a hidden form of water? What do you think about that? Is that crazy?
You could, or you could just use the tuna water, or even better, like sardines that come in the tins. You could add extra water to that if you feed your cat sardines, which I highly encourage people to do because they're fabulous. But you could take something like sardine water, or look at the store, look at your grocery store, and there's things. Oh, totally just went blank, but clam juice, clam juice. See what else is in it. This, like, make sure there's not toxic preservatives and stuff like that. But um, whatever is enticing, even sometimes bone broth, goat's milk. Some cats like goat's milk, and that's super, super healthy for them. So you have
Yeah,
to be
whatever it
creative.
takes.
You have to be
Yeah,
creative,
yeah.
when it comes to your cats. And, um, even if it's baby food and you add a little bit of water or bone broth or, some kind of sardine water or something in that to make it even more enticing as a snack or a treat. I mean, we just have to be creative at the end of the day.
I put up this message because we were talking about energy last week. Do you want to touch on this? With the stress, the
Yeah.
energy restrictions, and all this. I think this is right up your alley.
Yeah. Hi, Shelley. Thank you for being here. She says it makes sense with energy restriction and stress with the accident and the surgery. This is the cat who had his tail amputated. Pickle is now 8. It's not all the time that she poops outside the box. Well, that's good. There might still be some pain. I don't know. Again, animal communication session would be, you could find out a lot. But yeah, I mean, just think the whole trauma of that experience, whatever accident happened, there's definitely emotional blocks associated with that experience. And having to go through surgery and waking up and, oh my gosh, where's my tail? I mean, imagine you going through, you get into a car accident, you wake up in the hospital, and you're like, where's my leg? I mean, it's a shock. These are little furry sentient beings. And don't think for one second that they are unfazed by traumas like this, because they absolutely are. And those kinds of emotional blocks get stored in the body, and it can affect their well-being and their health long term,
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine waking up and losing a limb, or and
Yeah.
and their tail. I'm sure their tail has a sense of for their balance, and they use
Mhm.
right.
Yes.
So
And
that
that,
probably
if you've ever watched a cat poop, what does their tail do?
yeah
It's like a
they sit
little
there
lever. It's
pump
like,
right.
doot, doot,
Yep,
um,
they're pumping it out.
you know, there's a function for that tail for absolutely. Hey,
Yeah,
Paula, how are you? Good to see you here. I was looking to see what else.
yeah. Do you
Scientology
notice it?
adult, it says my dog loves sardines. Sardines are like the most. They're so underutilized. Every cat should be eating sardines every day.
Well, it's probably
Absolutely.
such a great source of even like calcium, right? For cats and dogs, the little bones inside. What do you think about that? I
But
mean, am
they
I?
probably don't need extra calcium. Like a lot of the sardines, they're so tiny, so there's just not a whole lot of bone in them. You know what I mean? They just kind of melt and dissolve. But they're great sources of omega 3s. Um, to some degree, probably some vitamin D, not super amounts, but to some degree. And just it's a healthy fat, and it's a lot of nutrition there. So, um, Steve Brown, who is a famous formulator for pet food, that's like one of his all-time favorite foods to feed pets because of their nutritional quality.
Yeah, you see, there's actually Shelly was saying, I want to pull this back up. She says she is on Steve's Real Food, so
And
that's
that's an
probably the same Steve.
excellent source. Yeah, it's actually the background was that used to be Steve Brown's company, and he sold it years ago, but they kept his name, but he doesn't work with them anymore. But yeah, same company. Um,
Y-
yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, and you look at here. Amanda has the question. She goes, is there a recipe book for fresh cat meals? Would you go back to balance it, or do you have a favorite book you like to go towards?
I don't really have a book. I don't know of a book itself that has a bunch of recipes, but there are websites. I know Dr. Judy Morgan has some available on her free of charge on her website. Um, if you look, you could even look at like Emma Rutherford. If you Google Emma Rutherford, I cannot think of the Canine Kitchen, I think might be her website. She also has some recipes for cats. Um, you could take any raw diet recipe that's for cats and gently cook it if you needed to. So there's a lot of options out there. You just have to look. And even Feline Nutrition Foundation has recipes on their website for homemade cat food. Dr. Lisa Pearson at catinfo.org has a recipe on her website. So I don't know of a book that kind of puts it all in one place, but I know a lot of these formulators and people in the industry and vets that work a lot with nutrition have stuff it's kind of all over the place, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I wonder, do you think, what about Karen Becker? Do you think she includes cats in her, because she has a book,
She has a if sh well, she has the Forever Dog Life,
right?
and it's the recipes in there are primarily for dog. You could probably I don't remember if they have notes in there like you can feed this to your cat but add more taurine, or you know what I mean? Because they're not always lined up on the taurine side if it's a dog recipe. So that's why you got to check. Green Juju, by the way, their frozen dog formulas are formulated for cats too, and they are balanced for cats. So cats can eat the Green Juju raw food.
Yeah, because I think it's like important to what you just said too, is a lot of people think, oh, my dog eats this, so my cat could eat this. Their diets are different,
They
and
are.
their needs are different. So
Yeah.
it is wise to look for that, the
Yeah.
right, yeah,
Because some dog
definitely.
recipes have grains and some have, a lot of vegetable material in them, and cats are just not going to be into that, and they don't need all that. So, yeah.
Yeah, I see that a lot. And everybody who's following us right now or sees us after the show, all Pam's information is down below, so you can link through to her website. You can find that consultation with her for energy and just have that moment to understand your cat a little bit better.
Mhm.
I invite for Pam, I invite everybody to check out her site
Thank
and
you.
and see what you guys can do for your cat, for your pet, because our pets, it's like when talking once again yesterday, it was like, she has a dog, she has her horses, and her pets are everything to her, and our pets are everything to us. I mean,
Mhm.
look at, I love that you wake up in the morning, you meditate, and your kids come join you sometimes. I mean, they're just, I don't know, I can't wait to have a farm one day and just have many, many, many pets.
Mhm.
That's kind of like my goal. Like I would love to have a farm and have horses and have,
Yeah.
all sorts of different farm animals and not hoof to feed type, or to feed,
Right.
just to have them as pets and give them
Enjoy
a
them.
good life. Yeah, and
Mhm.
enjoy them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
So
can't imagine life without them.
I mean, they just add so much to our life. My
100%.
friend Laura, who was in here earlier, I don't know if she's still here. She was at a car mechanic one time, and there was this dog, and they didn't know what to do with it, and she ended up keeping the dog. And at first, we were happy for her. I was a little like, Laura, what are you going to do with it? I just didn't think she was in a position like to, but I have to say, I have never seen someone take a pet off the street and train them the way she has trained Roxy, is her dog's name. And this dog, I mean, is so sharp, and the
Yeah.
bond between them, and it was like, of course she took it. The universe put it in her place to
Yeah.
have, there was, like
Yeah.
we talk about, there was no mistake there that
Yep.
Roxy was right, and it's and she has cats and she takes care of her cats, but just like I remember that moment when she first said, Michael, because she asked us, do you guys want Roxy? I don't know if that was her name at the time. I think she gave it to her along because she looks like a little fox. So Foxy, Roxy. Oh, Foxy, yeah. Oh, it's actually Foxy. Yeah, it's Foxy. I'm calling her
Roxy.
Roxy.
Oh, so
Foxy.
sweet,
Yeah,
cute.
beautiful, beautiful cat, dog, and the way their relationship is, and the bond between them. I don't know what she would do without her. It's just like
Yeah.
they just have created that special bond. Like, you in with pets, it's like we have these pets that come into our life, and we have to, they have, they don't live as long as we do, and so we've got to take care of them. We want to take care of them so that we can have them for as long as we can have them for.
Mm-hmm. I love this comment.
Which one is that?
Scientology Audit Ottawa at the
Uh-huh.
bottom. My
Let's see
dog
who she is.
saved my life, and I don't know what I would do without him. And that's
Yeah.
special. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. She also
Yeah.
said I find when I feed Mr. Scamp a bit of sardine, his coat looks better. Absolutely. It's those omega-3 oils. Yes. Great
Yeah.
for skin and coat.
They're so good for skin and coat. Um, so I want to go down my list a little bit here.
Yep.
Um, Obesity. What do you think about obesity with cats? That's one of the things that came up that could be a
Yeah.
contributor to constipation.
It's they're eating the wrong diet. That's hard and fast. That's what it is. They're probably on an ultra processed food diet. And I was talking to someone either today or yesterday about this whole reality of dry food. And she was like, "Why is my cat always hungry?" And I'm like, "Because he's not getting the nutrition he needs from the dry food. It's in a plant-based material, instead of moisture-rich protein, and his body is like, "Well, what the hell am I supposed to do with this? I'm hungry. Feed me some meat." So that's just something. And when they can't process the starches in their food, it's stored as fat. And you see these horrendously overweight cats online, and it breaks my heart because it's like this cat did not they don't have a say so in their diet. It's not like they can say, "Hey, I don't want that today. Can you feed me something else?" They're at the mercy of their pet parent. And it's interesting. I noticed that just over the years, have you seen this also? Like there's a trend, and vets don't like to address this in their clinics, but if the owner is overweight, the pet is oftentimes overweight, and they don't want to talk about that, because they don't want to create any kind of negative vibe with their client or whatever. But I think we're doing a disservice if we don't address and at least educate and say, you know what? It's not healthy to be at this weight. And maybe they'll connect the dots for their own health. But if we find that pet parents will bend over backwards for their pets first before they will for themselves. So if they can
Yeah.
make this shift and help their pet eat a better diet, and they see the difference in weight loss, and they start to be more mobile and healthier and more active, maybe somewhere along the way it'll connect the dots like, oh, maybe I need to do this for myself, you know?
Well, in here I'll show you this one here. Look at this one. 6 cans of Fancy Feast. Uh,
A day? That's
a
that's way
day.
too much cat food. That's way too much. I mean, cats just don't have that. They don't have that kind of need. They're not a 40-pound dog, you know? Cats on the average are probably 10 to 12 pounds, maybe. And to feed 18 ounces a day, because that's about what those 3-ounce cans are, that's way too much food. Way too
Well,
much.
yeah, and like what we talked about last week was the fact that, cats need a time to eat, to
Yes.
digest, to
Yes.
relax, and start the whole cycle over. And if you just have food down all the time,
Yeah,
it
that
just
doesn't work.
it just plays havoc.
I mean,
Yeah.
think about it. If we're on a diet and we're trying to lose 50 pounds, you don't want to put M&Ms on your counter for you to walk by every day and get tempted. It's like you gotta take away the temptations. Otherwise, it's just too easy to default. So like stuff, I there's just certain things I just don't buy because number one, it doesn't appeal to me. But number two, I don't want to be tempted by it if I'm, you know, craving something and it's like, oh, I have that in my pantry. No, I don't even bring it in the house.
Well, I did this crazy thing with my husband and I. I got a bunch of these little bins that the top snaps that you can put your cereal in that keeps it fresh. And so I was doing all these different things. And I was like, well, I have all these empty bins. Let's start filling them up. And of course, we'd be at the store and we see our favorite little candy and we'd
Yep.
fill up one with chocolate and all this. And one of my almond roca is like one of my favorite candy, and so I bought like a whole bunch of that. And I find myself, and so last night we made a commitment to each other. It's like, okay, no more even bringing it into the house,
Yeah.
because if it's here, we're
You're
going to
going to eat
do
it.
it.
Yep.
I
Yep.
mean, this right here, look at this. The cat was 30 pounds at its highest.
That is just, that's like nutritional abuse to me.
Well, I had on the Pets Journey, I have a guest. His name is John Waterhouse. And I don't know if we've talked about him yet, but he was in Australia and he moved here with his wife, and he works with dogs and issues, and he's an orthopedic surgeon for dogs.
Okay.
And he's an orthopedic dog, and he told me this once, which I just found shocking, and it really stuck in my mind. Is like have you ever seen the pet weight chart online?
The body composition charts? Yes.
Yes,
Yes, yes.
yes.
Yes. Yeah.
Yes. So you guys in the room, if you haven't seen this, there's different charts out there, and you can see, how your cat or your dog how their body should look, and they should have like a little hourglass. They shouldn't be
Mhm.
solid. They should
Mhm.
have this little thing. And John was sharing with me. He says, like, for every pound a pet is overweight, it's adding 4 more pounds of sheer pressure to their joints, because
Mhm.
their joints are designed to carry their natural body weight.
Wait.
And so, like, if you have a cat that's 30 pounds overweight, or that would be what, almost 20 pounds overweight, you've got what, 20 times, 20 times 4? Look at how
That's
much extra
horrible.
sheer weight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's
I mean,
that's that's so sad to me. And they can't even exercise at that weight because they just don't have the mobility, you know? They probably just sit around and eat dry food all day long.
well, I always go back to, when we talk about kibble and we talk about how it's made and the process, and what I've learned from, my friend about how it was processed and all that. It's
Yeah.
kind of like McDonald's in a way. And, not
Yeah.
like I say, like, every once in a while, I have to have a quarter pounder with cheese. I don't know what it is about a quarter pounder with cheese, but I end up, sneaking one once in a while. But like, there's families out there that they feed their families McDonald's every meal of the day. And, and did you see that documentary, Oversize Me,
Super
or
size me. Super size.
Supersize Me?
Yes.
And and
Horrible.
when you see it, and they talk about, by the time a child will eat the meal and not have enough time to exercise before the next meal, they never have enough time to burn off those calories. And it's the same
Mhm.
thing for our pets, is they've
Yep.
got to have that in between time to be able to, like, digest properly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's what's out there is just like crazy with food. What's this? I was just seeing, is there any other comments here?
She said her belly was touching the floor, the 30-pound cat. That's just that's so heartbreaking to me. That's so
Well,
heartbreaking.
well, she even said that the vet tried to, like, approach it, and it wasn't something that he really could approach. She said somewhere that the vet
Yeah,
even tried, I
overfeeding is
think.
love. Yeah, people like that who overfeed their pets because they think they're doing it out of love or they want to show them love. Cats and dogs don't associate that the way humans would, you know? Um, and I think a lot of times they are demonstrating to their pet how they like to be like what they
Loved.
recognize as love. Like some people probably grew up in a home where everything was about food and eating and oh, how you doing, well, have this and eat some of this, and oh, I made this especially for you. So they just grow up in that environment associating food with love and those emotions that emits and things like that generates. So but pets are not like that. They're not wired like that. um they'll eat just because they like to eat, but they're not taking on that same emotional energy and tension that the pet parent probably is intending to use it for, if that makes sense. um but yeah, if they realized how much they're actually shortening their lifespan of that pet and how much harm it's doing them metabolically, would they stop? Would that be an impetus for them to rethink what they're doing? I don't know. I guess it might depend on the person, you know?
Right, 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 right. Yeah, it's funny because like when you said the words, "Oh, I made it just for you," it almost like it triggered something inside me even, emotionally. It's like I heard like my mom or my dad saying, "Oh, I did this just for you,"
Yeah.
And our animals aren't like that. They don't react the way we did as children or get
Hmm.
conditioned to
Hmm.
react, you know.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Absolutely.
Here, let's see here, this one here.
My 11-year-old cat has hyperthyroid. Are there connections between food and thyroid issues or foods that are better for cats with this issue? My vet never mentioned anything about it. Yes. A lot of times, well, one of the reasons that cats can develop hyperthyroid is because they are exposed to endocrine disruptors like BPA, and it might be in the canned food because a lot of cans use aligners that have BPA in it. And then cats who eat a lot of seafood are exposed to a lot of microplastics and heavy metals. And the microplastics are actually endocrine disruptors. And that can contribute to the whole hyperthyroidism thing as well. Um, so if your cat has hyperthyroidism, one of the best things that you can do is take them off seafood and try to get them off of canned food because of the potential risk of BPA exposure. So those are two things that you can do. Getting them on or research a brand that doesn't use BPA, that has BPA free cans
Free.
or BPA free liners. And their food costs a little bit more because it costs more money to put them in those kinds of cans. So again, it's just another reason to look at trying to transition to gently cooked foods or raw food diets, because at the end of the day, cans are so expensive, and cost per ounce feeding fresh food can actually end up costing you less than buying all the canned food.
Well, and especially like, feeding fresh food, we've talked about this before too, is the fact that it's better that you do that now, and it's going to cost you a little bit more money now to do that
Yeah.
than as they get into their golden years, all these issues start to come in, and then the vet bills start to, get higher and higher because you're dealing with all these issues that can actually be curbed a little bit in their younger
Yeah.
years if just by what they eat and all that. I was watching this show last night on Netflix. I think it was called The Victorian Years, and they were talking about the chemicals that were just in the houses. We've talked about this a little bit, and it's like what you're talking about, like the cans made out of certain materials and all that. But it's like we already are fighting so many toxins in our everyday environment. To be
Mhm.
adding it in their food is, try to take it away from their food.
Mhm.
Try to remove it from the food. Try to give them the healthiest and the cleanest food that you can,
Yep.
because we are from our paint to the carpet, from everything in our house, we're fighting those toxins all the time. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's the same thing for your animal.
Yep. And things like the most common stressors or things that contribute to the hyperthyroidism, if it's endocrine disruptors, do some online study on endocrine disruptors in my home. And if you just do a search and look at all the common things that contain things like BPA, like your plastics, bottled water, um, the pet dishes that are made of plastics, things like that, as well as phthalates. Phthalates are like forever chemicals that they put on furnitures, flame retardant materials. So go through your house and look for anything that's potentially, you know, uh, containing phthalates or BPA and things like that, and see what you can do to either, if it's furniture, cover it so you're not exposed to it. Because guess what? Your cat's the canary in the coal mine. If it's affecting them, it's affecting you. because you live in the same environment. So
Yeah.
and I understand it's not always feasible to throw out your furniture because it's flame retardant material on it, but if do what you can to minimize exposure to it. So if you have to cover it with something, you know, and at some point when you're ready to get rid of it, get something else. But there are a lot of flame retardant type materials in our homes that we're just not aware of. So that's what I would look at. And another interesting link is vaccines. So vaccines have been linked to hyperthyroidism in cats. So think about how many vaccines your cats have had. If they've had multiple, chances are really, really good they don't need any more. Just say no. That's my best advice.
Just say, yeah,
Just
yeah.
say no.
With a hyperthyroid, what would be the best way to avoid that altogether? Just by the toxins in the air and the food and all that, just like we're talking about, or what's, I mean,
You know, you could do like it's hard to avoid toxins in our world, right? Because they're everywhere. But doing some just regular detoxification using something like the Venzio products by Vengeance, it binds toxins in the body and moves them out of the body. So you might have to do just regular detoxification with something like Vengeance, regular liver support to help support the liver as it filters all the toxins from the blood. Those are the kinds of things that you'll just have to do on a pretty regular basis just to keep up with, you know, there's toxins in, let's toxins out. You know, it's a constant battle, but that's what we have to do because we can't avoid
so
them all.
so when you detox your cats, do you do it yearly, bi-yearly? How often do you detox?
I do it probably every month or two. I'll do it for several days, maybe like a week. Um, I rent the place I'm staying in, and I found that there's formaldehyde emitting from the flooring, the
Yeah.
wood floor, okay, which is very common. It's just the type of wood material that these builders use, and they throw them in these homes because it's cheaper than the really good quality hardwood floors. So I will do like the chemical detox. Just it's a few drops in their food, maybe a week, just to help clear out the formaldehyde exposure because it affects their immune system. And I can start to see their little skin rippling, or they sneeze more. It's just like symptomatic of a weakened immune system. So it's just a good reminder to me, like, okay, it's time to do some liver support. We need to do some chemical detox now for like a week. Just it doesn't have to be every week, but like maybe once every 2 months or so, do a full week or two of that. Just or you could do it 3 times a week if you wanted to be just on a real consistent schedule. It's really there's no one right way to do it as long as you're doing it.
Well, I would suspect because I've never detoxed my pets. You know, I didn't even think about detoxing my pets. So I'm sure there's many people that are going to see this that have never thought about this before and
Yep.
giving that to their pets. Where I'm sure they could come to you and talk to you about this
Mm-hmm.
and where to begin if
Mm-hmm.
it's their first time doing it. Do you find um, your cats are sensitive to it when you're doing it? Like they know you're up to something, or it's just they're like, oh, mom's just adding
No,
something to our food.
I just mix it in their food. They don't even know it's there, which is great.
And how does it work? Does it just go through their system and just kind of like a magnet start grabbing things and flushing it out?
Well, the Vengeance is micronized zeolite, which is amazing, and their whole product tastes like water. So it binds the toxins in the body and moves them out through the digestive system and the liver and all of that. So it's it's grabbing whatever, because I think it's I never was really good in science class, so bear with me. Um, Positive charges, negative charges, ions, things like that that attract things, and they have receptors on them, and then just like, oop, there you go, got one, and it just pulls it out of the body. So it's it's removed. It's removed. So it's removed through the body's drainage pathways, like urine, like the feces and things like that. So it's eliminated. Yep.
Interesting.
Hmm.
It's like I want to do that for myself now.
Uh-huh.
I haven't,
We all
you
should.
know,
We all should.
I'll fast from time to
Hmm.
time, but I've never really done a detox to myself,
Hmm.
and I just can imagine what it would. It's like I wish I could see what it comes up with. Like here's a bowl afterwards. Here's a jar. Like what was inside your body.
Yeah.
It would.
Um, yeah. On that note, if you ever have a chance, this is for humans now, not for pets. If you ever have a chance to do like an ionic foot bath, do an ionic foot bath, and that is a real eye opener. If you want to see what's in your body that needs to come out, holy cow, it's disgusting. But it's better to come out and be in that foot bath than be in your body. And so it takes, if the key is do it consistently until your foot bath is pretty clean, because that's really it's so eye opening. You want to see evidence? Whoa,
I've heard about it, and the water is like just
it's
disgusting,
disgusting.
right?
And they give you like a guide with colors, and it'll say, oh, if it's green, it's coming from the gallbladder. If
Uh,
it's red, it's coming from this. If it's, so it's pulling out all the stuff from the organs and your tissues that are holding on to these toxins. And remember that your skin is the largest detox organ in your body. So if your liver and lymphatic system are sluggish, you're going to have stuff coming out on your skin. This is when people get rashes and outbreaks and just pimples or cysts or boils and things like that. Their body is trying to dump these toxins somewhere, and so it encapsulates everything in this little fluid like cyst, and that's where it's a dumping site. um so yeah, try an ionic foot bath. I challenge everybody here to do an ionic foot bath. You will never think of detoxification the same. It's pretty eye opening.
would you get that from a natural homeopathic doctor, or where would you go for one of those? Because I'm interested.
I would look like naturopath clinics, holistic health clinics. Check with like your local health food stores and see if they know of any practitioners or anywhere in town that has that as a service. And you might even go online and just say ionic foot bath near me, or put your zip code, because so many things are optimized for search engines these days. You could probably find something in your local area to go to. um, yeah, that's my challenge for you guys. Go do a foot bath. Whoa. You
I
can
think
even buy those online. I
I
was
was going to
looking
say
at
you
them.
probably can at Amazon, right?
Yeah, I don't remember where I was looking at a few weeks ago, and it was like Onic Fit Bath, and you can buy the little. It looks like it looks like a cat litter box, like the ones that are this high, and it's a rectangle, and it sets this little device in there that's like a little motor, and it gives you some minerals to put in the water. It was like $99 or something online. I'm like, oh, I'm so tempted to do that. But yeah, if you can't find a place, you can always buy your own. And you can go as often as you want to instead of having to go pay somebody to do it.
And I would be one of those people where I'd be calling up my friends and like, oh my God, you got to get over here. I'm going to give you a foot bath. I'm going to give you a
Like
foot bath. I'm going to give, right,
like with
exactly.
the camera, like, oh my God, take a picture,
Yeah, I'll send him home with a bottle like this, and I'll say, here's your foot bath juice. Do something with it. Bury it.
Oh my gosh.
Have
It's
a ceremony.
it's crazy. It's crazy, but it's good. Fatima says, I wish maybe you can pop this up on your screen. She says, I wish vets would talk more about this stuff with
Oh
pet
yeah.
parents. You're right. I take better care of my cats than I do myself. Yeah. This is one of my babies. This is my 8-year-old. This is Aylin. She's my
Oh my God.
she's the one that used
Th-
to stalk Lily. Well, you were very
s-
naughty.
So
Yes, you were.
beautiful.
She's pretty, and she pretty. She's a
It
pretty
seems like
girl.
you're attracted to this breed. And
I
what's
am.
the breed?
Tonkinese. It's a blend of
Tonkinese.
Siamese and Burmese. They are so sweet. Oh, they are so sweet.
And soft.
They are so soft. They are so
Yeah,
soft. Yeah. Mm.
yeah.
She's my
It,
girl. She's my
n-
baby.
now we talked about this before, and I always like to just bring it back up when we're here. Is like, are they all relatives of each other, or any of
No.
them
Well,
relatives of each other?
Skylar and Breeze are half sisters. They have the same daddy. Yep.
Okay, right, okay.
Yeah. And
They
then
seem so
Gunner,
chill.
they are um Gunner, my oldest, had a twin brother, and he passed away in March of 2021.
So when you say he had a twin brother,
They were litter mates, and they looked almost exactly alike.
okay,
Yeah. So Aylin grew up with Gunner and Rocket.
gotcha.
So
Okay,
yeah,
okay.
when I saw their baby pictures, and they were, oh my God, I was like, I can't separate them. They were a bonded pair. That's how I ended up with both of the boys.
With both of them. And
Yeah.
have you ever had a dog before?
Mm-mm. I've always been a cat mama.
That's funny. It's interesting how people sometimes gravitate one way or the other, either, to a cat or a dog, and they,
Mm.
and even like the size of a dog, it's either
Yeah,
like this small or
small or the
really,
big dogs. Yes, right. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
yeah.
I've always loved the Siamese look.
My mom was like that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Their personalities are very, very neat. These guys are more like, they're kind of like dogs in a cat body. They just,
So cute.
yes, I know you are. You are. I think
Here's a
she wants
question.
something. Yes. We talked about
So,
that one. That
oh,
was
we did?
we
Okay.
did. We talked about that one. Um,
This one here, like here, I was a cat person until 2016, and then I became a dog person.
yep. I know. There's just something special about kitties. I've always gravitated to them. But like I told you, I was imprinted as an infant, days old, because I have pictures of me with me in a Christmas stocking on the floor next to a kitty. So I was brought up with cats literally from the day I was born.
Oh, they were probably in your crib all the time, hanging out with you.
I don't know. I don't remember that, but
They're probably cleaning your ears,
oh gosh, right? I used to follow my cat around when I was a small child. She was so annoyed because I would literally like follow her around, and she was like, "Mm," like, get away from
Leave me
me,
alone.
let me
Leave
alone,
me
right?
alone.
Oh
Right.
no.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see.
Yeah, I don't see any.
What else?
Wait, what was the we?
Oh, I used to be afraid of dogs until oh, I know.
Oh my God, I used to be so afraid of dogs. I had a dog chase me up a tree once, and
No.
after that, yeah, but I think what we were talking about before is the energy that we have, going on. And I was just like this hyperactive kid just bouncing on, and this dog felt my energy. It was like, who the hell is this crazy little, and just charged at me. And I was like, ah, yeah. So I get that. Yeah.
Yep.
It's so funny because I tell this story and people are like going, because I started off, I was always a cat person. I love cats. I just like their disposition. I just like their personalities. You can, you know, they're like right here all the time, like yours
Mhm.
right now.
Mhm.
And I did a search back in my memory as a child, and I'm like, why don't I like dogs as much as I like cats? And this is like just the most horrible story almost to discover was that we used to live in in a two-story house, and our next to our bedrooms was the dog run. And my
Oh.
sister was the dog person. You know, she loved dogs and she didn't like the small dogs. She liked the big dogs. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, one time we had um, from Irish Setter to, I forget, she had this one big dog. I forget what breed it was, but she would never clean up after them. And during summertime, the smell would come up in my room, and so I was always
Mm-hmm.
downstairs cleaning up after them, and I think that's what made me really resent dogs because I was
Mm-hmm.
always have to clean after my. So it's like those little, emotional implants that we get as kids. That
Yep.
it took me until I was probably that I got my first dog. I was probably around mid 20s before I first got my first dog.
Oh, wow.
And, yeah, and I started with a little min pin,
Okay.
and and I think I started with the small one because they were like a cat. They were small like a cat, and I just loved
Wow.
them. I Yeah, I named him Blitzen because he looked like a little reindeer,
Oh, that's
little
awesome.
Blitzen. He was
That's
a little
awesome.
monster. Yeah, he was a little monster. I went on vacation one time and had my friends watching him, and I got this phone call late one night, and they're like, "Michael, you're not gonna believe it." And I'm like, "What?" And they're like, "Wait till you come home." And I'm like, "Well, tell me." And they're
Um,
like, "No, we're gonna let you come home." And I came home, I opened the door, and my whole sofa was just like torn up. He was so mad at me for leaving him, because they weren't staying with him. They were just checking in on him. They were the neighbor around the corner, so they were
yeah.
walking him all the time, and he was not happy. So it's
Oh,
just like their little
no.
personalities. So here, let's see, what's this one? I saved my first dog. He was a shelter for a year, and then about put down the den. Was yeah, and that's why
Mhm.
it's so important to adopt.
Yep.
It's so important to go to the shelters. I see so many people that, you know, this is another thing that really we've talked about on my other shows is like the backyard breeders. There's so many people out there, especially during the pandemic, we saw so many people start to become breeders of dogs that weren't really breeders. And
Mm-hmm.
we call them backyard breeders. And they
Yep.
would interbreed their pets
Ugh.
and the issues and the life that the pets would have because of the being interbred. It
Yeah.
was
It's
just
horrible.
horrific, and yeah, it was just horrible. But yeah, it's so important like to go to your local shelter, especially like in California right now. There's so many pets that have been lost from the fires. Here, it's just when I go to the shelters, my heart's broken
Mm-hmm.
to see
Yeah.
these little guys sitting there just and their families out there somewhere, but it's like it's a hard
Yeah.
one.
I would be neurotic if I lost my pets. Like,
Yeah,
if
right.
they got out and you couldn't find them, oh, I would just be devastated.
Do
Yep.
you chip your pets, your cats?
No, I do not.
Yeah, okay.
I don't want to put anything in their body that doesn't belong there. Right? Yeah.
Which makes sense. Which
You
makes
know,
sense.
I just don't. So, did you want to go over any of the other causes of
Oh yeah,
constipation?
yeah, here.
I mean,
So
before
so
we
we talked about
run
we
out of
talked about this last week about hairballs, and
time.
they say that that's one of the things that can cause blockage in cats. What do you feel about that?
Um, Again, I think it goes back to a lack of moisture in the gut, in the GI tract, and hydration. Because if there's enough natural lubrication and there's a healthy gut, then there's good motility and there's good movement. Things going out the way it should be.
Someone asked me, would they add any oil to their foods to make it more lubricated inside their gut? What do you think about that? I didn't know how to answer that one when someone asked me that once. They're like, well, can I just add olive oil to their food? Would that help?
Well, you could, but I think people tend to go overboard, because they're just thinking, oh, more is better. No. Like, some people even can go overboard on coconut oil. You could end up having diarrhea, like really horrible. If you do too much of something like that, you're going to get the other problem. So if you're going to do a little bit, maybe a coconut oil, maybe a quarter teaspoon, a half a teaspoon. We're talking about cats, not, not dogs or people. Um, it's probably not going to be the end all be all resolution. I think you have to look at it holistically and go, okay, what can I do on diet? How's the moisture level? How's their activity level? How is their emotional stuff? It's not just going to be here's a one size fits all solution to the problem. I think you have to look at it from all different angles in order to really address the root cause.
Yeah. Yeah.
My goodness, are you okay?
So the next one on our list is, we talked about this, inactivity.
Yep.
You
Yep.
know,
Getting them
so
active, play sessions. Outdoor cats tend to get a lot more activity than indoor cats. Indoor cats get bored, so we have to be creative and create an environment that's mentally stimulating for them. Play sessions every day help curb a lot of just frustration and stress. Cats who sleep all the time are not lazy. They're probably stressed because they're not getting the stimulation that they need. Like over here, every night we have play sessions before we go to bed. And Skylar, she lives for this. Like she's pouty girl when she doesn't get play sessions every day.
Did she throw a little tantrum and like, Mom?
She cries. She cries. Yeah, you can just see it on her face because she's so disappointed. She is my high energy fire cat, and she needs that excitement and that activity, otherwise she's just bored and she's upset and she's not happy. She's just not happy. So we have to have playtime every night, and it's good for them because they're hunting and stalking and jumping and running, and that's such good stimulation for them mentally and emotion and physically.
Yeah. Well, I think, emotionally, like we talked about last week about the energy, about, just having that energy flowing instead of being stagnant all the time for them is really important. Yeah.
Yep.
So going down the list, I'm just going to read the list just for everybody to hear. It's like dehydration, lack of fiber. We've talked about that. Obesity, hairballs, inactivity, medical conditions. We've talked about that. Pain or stress. That's
Yep.
another big one. We've talked about medications. Like
Yes.
what do you see? What do you think would be like one of the most common medications people give to their cats that would cause this, that they don't even realize that could be the reason why? Do you have any of those that you see?
No, and I'll tell you why. I don't work in medication. It's not my wheelhouse. So I'm not as familiar with the side effects. But here's my best advice. If your cat is on a medication, you need to get a copy of that drug insert that shows you what all the adverse effects are for that medication, because there may be something going wrong and you don't even realize it. Make sure your cat is pooping every day. Make sure they are peeing every day. Make sure their appetite is good. If something starts happening that's off after you start a medication, you need to notify your vet right away and say, something's wrong. This just started and we've had 2 doses of this medication and he was fine before this. So I just feel like a lot of times people just put too much trust in the medication without really understanding that it is a drug and it does have side effects, and those side effects may not affect every single pet the same way. Some cats may not have any, bad side effects at all, and others may have terrible side effects. I had a client of several years ago whose cat was on an insulin because it was diabetic, and she had just discovered the diabetes or something, and had started this new insulin process with him. And he started, I don't remember the symptoms exactly, but he changed, and there was something going on with him physically that wasn't there before she started the insulin. And so when we looked up the side effects of that particular type of insulin from that brand that he was on, it was all his symptoms were on that
Wow.
adverse effect. And I said, please see your vet right away and tell them these are the symptoms that your cat is experiencing on this medication, and you need to switch to a different type of insulin, which she was able to do. But her intuition was saying something's wrong here. I'm like, yes, something is definitely wrong. But until we stop and we go look, because don't expect your vet to always agree with you that something's wrong with the medication, because they're not wired like that. They believe in their
No.
drugs. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's up to
Yeah.
us to do our own homework and go look up that information first, so that when you go to them and say, I don't think this is right. He's doing XYZ, and I just started this new medication you gave me. And on the, this is one of the adverse effects that's associated with this medication. I want to stop doing this. What else can we do instead? You have to be armed and ready, in a lot of those cases. So do your homework.
Yeah, do your homework. And I think that's a big one right there. Is a lot of people, even for ourselves, we don't do enough homework on what we're
No.
getting ourselves into when our doctor's saying, oh, do this now, do this now. I've had, I've had some issues with my hip and all that, and I've seen so many doctors, and I can't tell you some of the things that they want me to do, and I'm like, well, that doesn't sound right. And I know for myself it's not right. I'm like, I'm not
Yeah.
going to do that. And it's like, so you have to do your homework. You definitely have to do your homework. One of the other things, number 9 on my list, is obstructions of foreign objects.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
that is an acute life threatening situation. Um, if you suspect your cat ingested something and they are not able to keep food down, they are vomiting, they are not pooping, you need to you need to take them to the emergency vet. Of course, it's going to happen on a Friday night at 12 o'clock. Okay. So just be prepared. But hopefully it doesn't, but don't wait. Get it x-rayed, get whatever their, diagnostics. Again, I don't work, it's not my wheelhouse, but I'm thinking x-ray is probably the first thing they'll do, and just look and see, is there something in there that probably shouldn't be in there? Because some cats do get into stuff and they eat stuff, and that's a whole nother topic for another day. But yes, it can wreak havoc on their intestinal system and shut it all down. And that's a life-threatening situation.
Well, when we're talking about this, it reminds me, I'll do Christmas trees for families. I did Liza Minnelli's tree once, Barbara Streisand, Aaron Spelling's. I've done like these crazy, crazy trees for these families. And one of the things I always look at is to see if they have pets. Because if they have pets, what we put on the tree, I don't want the cat or dog to be eating it, especially
Yeah.
tinsel, or
Yeah.
people that have a tendency to take the string and do the popcorn. That's the worst thing in the world you can do. I mean, that could kill your pet.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that string can actually slice through
Yeah.
their organs as they're trying to digest it. And one of the big things that the last thing on our list here, it talks about aging, and we started off with that. And it's just part of our life. Just like as we get older, our cats get older, our dogs get older, and their bodies start to break down. So just they need that extra little attention. And the most important thing on this list, I think, is like what we're talking about, is if your cat is experiencing constipation and it's been going on for a really long time, don't stop and think it's going to pass. Take them to the vet. They're part of our team, and you've got to get it taken care of. If it's something that you're not finding a holistic way of treating it, and they're just not getting a movement. Talking about movements, like how often should a cat poop a day?
Oh, at
What do
least
you
every
think?
day. At least every day.
Once a day at least?
At least once a day. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so if you guys, if you don't see your pet doing that, it's, that's a sign to say something's not right. It could be their food, it could be their diet, something's
Mhm.
not going, that's not, agreeing with them. So get it checked out, and really don't be afraid to take your pet to the vet if it looks serious and they're not pooping for
Yeah.
many days. We say that all the time. Don't rely that, even like with our formulas, like, we have the can't poo poo constipation formula, and it works wonder. But if it's something, it could be a life threatening thing that's going on with them that you don't even know, that's pressing up against their system, that's
Mhm.
causing that blockage. And unless you go and have, an x-ray, or, a vet diagnose it, you may find that there's a tumor or something like that. And by going early, you probably save your cat's life.
Yeah. And here's something that's very uncommon, but it does happen, is scar tissue in the colon can cause constipation. So if scar tissue is growing, and I actually have a client whose cat is dealing with this, and she knew about the scar tissue, and I don't remember what happened, um, but she knew that there was scar tissue in the area, and the cat had, you know, a history of just constipation and dry, hard stools and things like that. And when I looked at it from my lens of frequency and energy, I found that scar tissue was contributing to that stuff staying in the colon too long. And so, homeopathy is a wonderful thing, and there are natural homeopathic remedies that help dissolve scar tissue in the body in all different kinds of places. And so she's utilizing some homeopathy alongside dietary, supplements and good fiber and things like that to kind of keep things moving along. But um, I had another client several years ago whose cat had intestinal surgery, and I don't remember again what happened. If something obviously went wrong. She had surgery, and after the surgery, she developed scar tissue in her small intestines, and so that contributed to years of issues and things like that. But you just never know. So those are just some of the things you just kind of put in the back of your mind and go, does my cat have a history of problems with, something like as weird as scar tissue? Because that
Yeah,
can
from a
definitely
surgery. Yeah.
from a surgery. It happens in some pets. So it's just good to be aware. Um, so yeah, that I did just kind of popped into my head, but
Well, I have
they
another
have
thought, but
short, yeah, they have
oh, go on.
short digestive tracts. Oh, this is what I was going to say. How frequently should your cat be pooping? Every day. They have a very short digestive tract. They're not like ours where it's like miles and miles of, it's like in and out. So if if their motility is good and their digestive system is healthy and the food they're eating is being absorbed and utilized, and there's, the rest is on its way out, that you should see poop in the litter box every day. And if you don't, you need to start doing something about it. Because again, the longer that fecal matter stays in the large intestine, in the colon, it is reabsorbing all of those toxins and water back into the body, and that's not where you want it to be.
Yeah, I was going to say that all those toxins just slowly get reabsorbed inside their system, and that can cause other issues. I was wondering, this is one of my crazy, I do want to, on Amanda's message here, my Toby just won't take most of the medications that he's recommended. He probably knows what's good for him.
I totally agree with you. Cats know if they will refuse to take a medication or fight you if they know it's not good for them, or if they don't need it. And in some cases, cats will even stop taking a supplement in their food because they know they don't need it anymore. And that's just a sign that you're trying to tell us, is like, Mom, don't put that in there anymore. I'm not going to eat that with my food. So stop. And so just be mindful of that. They're smarter than we give them credit for sometimes, you know?
They're really wise. I had this thought. What do you think about this one? I mean, when someone recommended this to me, I was like, well, I don't know, but I went. It's No, I can't even think of the term. You know when they clean your colon? What is it?
Hydrotherapy, colonics,
Hyd-
hydrotherapy.
yes,
I have had
colonic.
that. It's a wonderful.
It's, I mean, after I had it, I was like, you're sitting there at first and you're like, oh, what am I letting this person do? And they're like, sticking this thing up there and they're washing you. And then all of a
Yeah,
sudden you get to see the stuff coming out and you're like,
yeah,
oh my God. And they're like,
yeah.
half this stuff just like the toxins that
It's
sits inside your
impacted.
system. Yeah, it's impacted. So, I mean,
Yep.
do they do that for pets? Do they do that for cats? I don't know. Do they?
They do. They do. On some cases, they will do enemas for these pets that have such a major amount of block that they can't poop. They will do. This is Skylar, by the way. She's the one I said
Skylar.
needs attention and needs to play. She's trying to tell me,
Right.
Mom, come on.
Mom, it's that time.
It's,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
it's
I like
mine.
I like how she like walked up to the camera and put her butt right in the camera for us. She's like, here you go. Here's
I
diarrhea.
know. She's funny. She's very happy. She's purring right now. Um, where were we? Oh, the colonics. Oh, the
The
enemas
hydro.
for pets. They do actually in severe situations. They will do enemas for cats who can't poop. Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So there you have it,
And that's
everybody.
not that can't be a pleasant experience for a cat. I think they have to put them under. Actually, I'm pretty sure they do.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
don't be doing it. Don't be doing it at home,
No, no, don't
everyone.
do it. This is not a
This is
DIY
not
thing.
exactly. This is not a DIY thing. Do not get a yeah.
Don't
Don't
do
get a
it.
bottle. Don't get a bottle of water and put a little thing on it. And, yeah,
Yeah,
that
no,
doesn't work.
that's not going to be a good idea.
Oh my God, poor kitties. Well, we're at the end of our time here, everybody, and I just wanted to say, once again, we're just kicking off our room here. I came up and called it the Cat Club. What do you think about that? Do you like the name of that room, Cat Club?
Yeah, yeah. Why not?
I was just trying to, yeah, because what I want to do is like on my sites, I want to create I like creating sections, and I thought, oh, let's create a section called Cat Club, and everybody could go there that have cats and listen to our conversations and be
Hmm.
able to go back and refer to them and find
Yeah.
your information, find my information. We do have, and just talking about once again, you guys, we have for constipation, we have the Camp Poo Poo. This is our constipation formula. And this is great when they're impacted and they can't poop. This will help, after a couple of doses, it'll start loosening it up and it'll get them to
Hmm.
move. And then with cats in their older age, we also have our formula called Eat. And this balances their gut because having a balanced gut is so important for their movements. If their system is not balanced and it's not, so this is like this. So this would be a maintenance program on top of using the Camp Poo Poo as well. And
Hmm.
once again, Pam has many more modalities that she uses. So check out her website. Everybody, once again, I want to go ahead. Here is her calendar. It's, you can go ahead and click here, get your free consultation with Pam, talk about energy with your pets, your cats. You'll be amazed what a difference understanding the energy that you're feeding to your cat and what they're
Hmm.
getting from you and what you're getting from them and how you guys play together with the energy. I mean, that's really, one of the big things I'm learning here from Pam is like our energy feeds right into our cat and our cats pick it up. And so, we want to be in a good space. We want our cats to be in a good space
Yeah.
so that we're all in a good space.
Hmm. Yes.
Yeah.
Now go play with your
So,
cats.
yeah, so go play with your cat. She's got mom cat duty now, right? Go play with your
Yes.
kitties.
She's
We'll
like,
see you
come
guys.
on.
Come on.
Come
Skylar's
on,
like,
let's go
Mom, come on.
play. Let's go play. Well, thank you guys so
Yeah.
much for joining us tonight. We hope this was helpful.
Yeah, if any questions, you guys always reach out to either one of us. We're always here. We'll be back here next Tuesday, same time, same
Yeah.
channels. And we'll pull out another fun little topic to talk about, but we'll talk about anything you guys have on your minds. You have any questions about what's going on with your cats, please feel free to jump into the conversation. We'd love to break it down for you. And
Yeah.
what a better thing, there's no better thing on a Wednesday night to do, or on a Tuesday night to be doing, but talk about cats, right?
Right. I know.
I
I
love
love it
it.
on them.
All right, Pam, thank you so much
Oh,
again.
you're
I will see you
welcome.
next week.
Okay.
And everybody, have a beautiful, beautiful week. Thank you for being here. Thank you for supporting us, and just let us help you if you need it. Make us part of your team. That's why we're here, and that's why we're sharing this information. Because, like, you know, like someone said earlier in the chat, I wish my vet would talk more about these different modalities. You know, it's not that they don't want to talk about it. Sometimes they can't talk about it because they didn't go to school to train about it.
Yeah.
So they're, by the license that they're under, they can't talk about some of these things. So that's why we're here with, you know, bringing different professionals to you to explore different things that you could do with your cats. And what was the thing that we're going to be doing with our feet this week?
Oh, ionic foot baths.
So
Ionic
everybody,
foot baths. That's your
I
challenge.
challenge everybody in the chat. If you haven't done it, go do it. I'm going to do it this week, and we'll come back next week and we'll talk about
Report.
that and see what color your water was. Okay, guys. Right? Have a good day, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. I'm Michael with The Pets Journey, and it's always lovely to be here with everyone, and your support means everything. So, Amanda, thank you always for being here, moderating the room, and we guys will see you next week. Have a beautiful night.
Sounds good. Bye, y'all.
Bye, all.